Hey gang, welcome back. It is I, DrBossKey, and today we're taking a look at a question that one of our community members had about setting up a different kind of player ship that's using the twin stick option. So Andy Roseby basically wants to set up a player ship that allows you to use twin stick, but lets you rotate the weapon independent of your player ship. All right. So I was like, I scratched my head a little bit about how to do it. I started to type up a response, and I thought, why don't we just do a quick little video? So, all right, Andy, this one's for you. All right, let's see here. First, let me switch this over. Everything else is good here. Okay, so first, let's just cut to the chase, right? And show you the end result. And I'm just, I'm pushing the button over here. I got my controller. So I've got my player ship here. And then I've got my weapon, which you can see I'm rotating like a laser beam, disco laser beam. Okay. So, all right. So conceptually, I'll just run you through how I set this up. I just did this in the examples, bullet patterns examples, which is cool, by the way. I haven't looked at this in forever. So the way that we built this is, fix that. Make sure I don't grab the wrong handle here. Effects properties. Okay, cool. So what we did is we have a player ship, and the player ship here is set to orient with right stick. And I just created just a tiny little sphere, right? Nothing special here, just a sphere, because I wanted something small that we're going to cover up. And then we have the effects object, and the effects object is essentially is the particle effect system. And with the particle effect system, using the FX game object, the game box object here, you can essentially attach this effects to your player craft using the attachment system. So you can just grab it up here, flunk, and then we wanted to make sure that they were perfectly aligned. So we took the weapon and put it right on the half part of the player ship, and then we just basically using the grid here, basically just align this kind of as close to being on top of each other as possible. And then that gave us this. Okay, a couple things that you need to do is, one, you need to make sure if your project is using parallax in the Y, then what will happen, for instance, I think I just scaled it. Did I scale it? That's translation. No, that's good. Okay. Yeah. So here, then now you can see as I move around, because they're in two different layers, the player ship and the particle effect, you're going to get parallaxing over the top of your ship. And so if you have the hidden ship, then it's not going to work the way you expect it to. So just make sure that your Y for translation is set the same for your particle effect and for the player ship. Okay, and then the next thing you also need to do, I'm just not doing these in any particular order, so is you'll need a second layer. In that layer, just create a new one. So you just add a new layer, and I just call this one foreground. So default is where the player ship is, right? And you can turn these on and off. So there you can see the default is player ship, and then what you want to do is make sure that the foreground layer is above it, so it just means that it's on top of it. And so when we turn this on, then the particle effect for the player ship will then continue to be on top of the player. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to go into your particle system editor. I know it's new stuff, don't be too afraid. The particle system editor has quite a bit of features. So all we did here is we created a player ship. I just took a very basic sprite that I found on the intertubs, and essentially made sure that it was, for my case, you don't really need this. Could be any kind of thing, but this is what I did. And I also set this to, I think I had 256 by 256, but you don't need that much resolution. So, and then what you're going to do is you're going to create a new particle, and then you're going to come in here and you go to the player ship, and then we'll just take it from the middle first, because you want to assign the texture. So we named the player ship texture, player ship. So you select your player ship here. Life, min, max, you can leave to 3 on both sides. Size was 10. All the default options should be fine here. On the modifier side, you want to make sure that you come over to color over life. And you want to make sure that you either check this, which will just basically, it says check this link if you don't want to change the color during its life. So if you click on any one of these boxes, there is an alpha state. So 0 is fully transparent. 255 is fully opaque. And the difference between this one and this one is the start and end. And so by default, particles start fully opaque and fully in the white color spectrum, so they don't get any tinted color. And then what they do, what Sunny likes to do is on the fade out, it changes kind of to a darker purple, which then tints the particle itself. It is what it is. Come down here, check 2D effect, right? Make sure you don't have any rotations or forces applied. We don't need the ship to be flying anywhere when it gets spawned. And then you should be start range, in range, 1-1, and then no rate for that. So then you come over here and settings, it looks like you can just use 2 particles. So you generally always want at least 2 alive because the particle system doesn't always guarantee to start and end in the exact same frame. Doesn't necessarily need to for accuracy, so you kind of need 2 in this case. And then you want to make sure your emission rate is set to constant and it's infinite. There's no repeat delay min max, and the emission rate is 1. So, and that seems to work well for this here. You need to make sure you turn off all your offsets, and you want to make sure that you don't have any spread angle. And by default, I believe new particles essentially I think they have a Z for emission direction, or maybe it's offset, but just make sure it's all zeroed out. And I think. So that's all that. I think those are all the options that we talked about there. We're good there. I mean, you can play with it a little bit. And I think that's the end result. So hopefully that gets you what you want there. You can expand and do quite a bit of different things, from this kind of perspective. And so I hope that helps. Take care. Thanks, everybody.